Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Erin. I talk all things personal finance for women in their 20s. I've been talking about personal finance on the internet for almost 2 years now. You can find me over on TikTok and Instagram. I have a reach of over 300,000 followers, but now I am moving over to YouTube, which is super exciting. This is something that I've wanted to do for so long because I feel like I'm going to be able to give you guys much more like comprehensive money content between like very specific how-tos and then actual walkthroughs of things that you need to do in order to get your money right in your 20s. Which is exactly what we're going to be doing today in today's video. This is going to be a comprehensive breakdown of exactly what I do in order to budget my money. My budgeting content on TikTok and Instagram is definitely what I'm most known for. This budget template has been downloaded by you guys over 10,000 times, which is so crazy to me. I've been using this template personally for a little over 2 years now, and it's been the one thing that has made like 100% the biggest difference in my financial life in my 20s. Being able to use this template to budget, track my spending, make sure I'm not overspending every month. It really holds me accountable for my purchases and then also helps me hit my saving and my investing goals. So in this video today, I'm going to walk you through the entire template, show you how I set it up, how I use it on a monthly basis. And with that, you guys will be seeing my actual monthly budget. So I'll be sharing my income, my expenses, my savings, my investing goals. We're gonna get into all of that in today's video, so let's get into it. Okay, hello. Here we are in the template. Like I said, in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to use the different tabs in this template, and then we're also going to walk through my individual budget. Here we're starting in what's called the monthly goals tab. So this is going to be step one of our 3-step budgeting process. Obviously, step one is creating your budget, and this is the tab where we do that at. So in this tab, we have 6 different categories: income, expenses, bills and subscriptions, and debt pay down. And then last, your savings goals and your investing goals. And then we have these subcategories and the associated amounts. So both the subcategories and the amounts can be edited. You'll want to come in here and edit the subcategories for what makes the most sense for your budget. So maybe you get paid twice a month and you come in here and you put paycheck 1, paycheck 2. Maybe you have a side hustle, so you put side hustle here, or like babysitting, like whatever subcategories make the most sense for how you spend your money. Same thing with the expenses, bills, and debt. You'll come in here and you'll edit all of the subcategories. So I have things like rent, groceries, gas, miscellaneous expenses, household items and pet items, food and drinks, and shopping, all with the associated amounts. So again, these are goals for how much I want to spend every single month on these items. And then I have a few expense categories here that don't have assigned amounts. We can talk through that when we talk about the sinking funds in my savings account. But essentially, I have sinking funds for things like travel and fun money. So I save for those every single month, and then I list them here with no amounts so that when I do go and like log those as expenses, I have somewhere to log those. It's just the way that I do it. You can do your savings any way that you want, but this is just the way that I've found makes the most sense for me. Same thing for bills and subscriptions. I have things here like utilities, pet insurance, renter's insurance, my gym membership, my Netflix. You could have things here like your phone bill, your Wi-Fi bill. Those types of expenses for me are actually business expenses, and I don't keep track of my business expenses in my personal budget template. Then on the debt pay down side, a lot of people get tripped up about this as well, but this is where you're going to keep track of how much you spend onto your debt on a monthly basis. So for example, I have a car loan of like $7,000. I don't list the $7,000 here. I list the $285 because that's the amount that I pay onto that loan every single month. I also have my student loans here. So this is an important point both for here in the income side as well, and also any expenses that you like had previously throughout the year that you maybe don't have now. So for my student loans, up until the month of August, I was paying $450 a month onto them, but in August, I actually paid off all of my student loans completely. So I'm not contributing to this anymore. So this would be $0. However, I don't just get rid of this subcategory because if I go back into the tabs like April, March, February, whatever, those student loan payments are still like logged in the transaction log. So it's important that once you list any subcategory and start assigning transactions to those subcategories, you never go in and delete any subcategories. You always add to it. If you need to like zero them out, you can put a 0 amount to them. So for example, like I used to have a full-time W-2 job, and with that, I got paid twice a month. So I had paycheck 1, paycheck 2 with the assigned amounts for my paycheck. However, I have recently like quit my full-time job and am now doing my business full-time. So I have zeroed those amounts out, but I haven't just like deleted the subcategories altogether because I still want those to calculate in the early months of the template, which we'll get into when I show you guys what these tabs look like, but that's just an important point to remember. So your income minus your expenses, minus your bills, minus your debt gives you your amount left to save and invest. And from there, you will take this amount to set your savings goals and set your investing goals. So your savings goals could be things like your emergency fund, but then also like any short-term sinking funds that you're saving for. So I like to separate my savings account into different sinking funds, so different buckets for different savings goals. My general savings is my emergency fund, and I'm not currently contributing to that because I already have like the desired amount in my emergency fund. But I do leave that here in case I ever like do make a contribution to that. Then I have some sinking funds. So I save for these different things every single month. So I save for my car insurance, which I pay every 6 months. So every month I set aside a little bit of money for my car insurance so that when that payment comes up, I know where the money is coming from. I save $300 a month for vacations, $200 a month for the holidays, $500 a month for a fun money sinking fund. Everyone always asks me what I use my fun money sinking fund for. These are things that, like bigger purchases that I want, but like would break my budget if I just like randomly swipe my credit card and purchase. So for example, earlier this year, I wanted my eyebrows microbladed and I've like wanted them for a really long time, but it was going to be like $900. That's something that would come out of like a fun money sinking fund. I will say this is the sinking fund that like if I either spend too much money one month or I don't make as much income as I expect to, this is like the first thing to go for sure. But if I do have the income for it and the extra money left over, then I will contribute the $500 into the fun money sinking fund. Then I save $150 a month for my pet if anything unexpected comes up that I need to purchase for my dog. And then subscriptions, I do pay some subscriptions on an annual basis. So I set aside $100 a month for that. That's things like my Apple Music or my credit card annual fees. I pay about $500 a year in credit card annual fees. So that's where this comes from. On the investing side, the only account that I'm currently investing in on an after-tax basis is my brokerage account. I do invest in a solo 401k since I'm self-employed, but that's on a pre-tax basis. And since my income is on an after-tax basis, I don't include that in my budget template. So my investing goal right now is to invest $1,500 a month into my brokerage account. And then this pie chart here just gives you a really good breakdown of where your money's going. So right off the bat, I know that I'm investing almost 25% of my after-tax income. This tab accomplishes step 1 of our 3-step budgeting process. Now we're going to move on to step 2, which is to track your spending. And these monthly tabs, January through December, are where you're going to do that at. Currently September right now, meaning that August is the last full month that I've filled out in this template. So I'm going to start here and kind of walk you guys through what this looks like when the month is over. So when you come into these monthly tabs, this looks like a lot, but it's important to note that the only edits that you're going to make to these entire tabs, so January through December, on any of these tabs, the only edits that you're going to make are in this transactions log. So what a blank template looks like, let's go into November. This is what a blank template looks like. And the only edits that you would make onto these tabs is again in this transactions log. All of these are formulas. You don't edit anything over here. The only edits you're making are over here. So how this transactions log works is it's pretty intuitive. You track your spending in this transactions log. So let's say it's like the first of the month and you paid your rent. You would come in here and click expenses because that's an expense category. You would click rent and then you would put in your rent amount. Same thing, you get paid, you type in paycheck, you type the amount that you get paid. I like this notes section as well. Let's say you go out to eat. You can put food and drinks. You spent $45. You can put like the restaurant name. and then maybe like who you went with or something like that, so that if you are like reviewing your transactions at the end of the month, you can easily see like what your transactions were. Same thing with like shopping, you can put like what the actual expense was. Then at the end of the month, this is what the tab sort of ends up looking like. So again, you're going to log these transactions as you're incurring them. I feel like people look at me like I'm crazy when I say that I log every transaction that I make, or like log manually all of my spending, but it really doesn't take me that long to do. I come into this template like once a week. I usually do it on Monday mornings, and I just pull up like my credit card statements, my bank account statements, my Venmo balances, and I like write in all of the transactions for the week. It doesn't usually take me more than 10 minutes. I also get a lot of questions asking why I do this manually when there's like budgeting apps that can do it for you. I think like the point is that it's manual. A lot of the budgeting apps are just too automated to even really be useful. Like a lot of the categories don't make sense for how you spend your money, or some of the like transactions will be categorized wrong, or there's always just like nuances that like don't allow the numbers to make sense. And also you having to manually log your transactions definitely holds you accountable more for your spending. So me knowing like, oh, if I go shopping on a Saturday and I spend $200 on Monday morning, I have to go into this template and I have to log that expense and hold myself accountable for that purchase. So it definitely influences my spending behavior a lot more than an automated app would. So let's take a look at how some of my numbers ended up for the month of August. So in August, this was the month that I like actually resigned from my full-time job. So I got one of my two paychecks. So one of my paychecks came in for $19.50, and then I also got my salary from my business account. So my salary that hits my bank account is always this $36.19. I pay myself the exact same amount every single month, and taxes are taken out of that amount before it hits my paycheck. This is the after-tax amount that hits my paycheck. This amount is a little bit higher because some like random things like come in through my personal account or like through PayPal or for, something like that. So I think that was the case this month. Like I got paid for my TikTok views via PayPal or like something, just kind of like one off like that, which made it a little bit higher. The distribution, I said I wanted to take a $3,000 monthly distribution every single month. However, like in this instance, since I did get my paycheck, like, and this was a little bit higher, I didn't need to take this distribution this month. So you don't have to take a distribution. This paycheck like is through payroll. Like it happens every single month regardless, but I don't have to take a distribution at all if I don't want to. Then I can come in here and I can kind of see like how much I spent on my bills. My bills, like since they're recurring like subscriptions and stuff, like are usually pretty stagnant. But then on the expense side, I spend a lot of time looking at this because these are things like, okay, food and drink. Did I overspend like in the restaurants and bars category this month, or shopping? This month I really didn't do too bad, but if I did like really overspend, then I could go into these like individual transactions and see like why I overspent. So for example, miscellaneous expenses were a lot higher. So I could come in here and be like, oh, well, let's see. I went to the chiropractor this month for over $100. I bought supplements because I was out of mine for $100. So I can see like why I overspent and if those purchases were like dumb purchases. Also in the household items and pet items, I really overspent. If I do remember, I was traveling a lot in the month of August unexpectedly, and I had to board my dog. So that was like $250-ish, which is why I overspent in that category. So this is like part of the step 3 reflection process. And the other part of that step 3 reflection process is going to be in the yearly summary tab. So this is what the yearly summary dashboard looks like, and this looks like a lot as well, but this is going to be like exactly what was in the monthly tabs, your estimated versus your actual, except these are going to be like on a year-to-date basis. So your expected, don't worry about like your expected or your estimated like too much, because these are going to be like how much you like should spend or should earn like in the entire year. So for example, like this is how much I should earn in an entire year, and if like this is my actual, that's just because the year isn't over yet, if that makes sense. So don't worry too much about the expected or the estimated. I feel like what's really important here is the actual column. So for example, you can come down here and be like, oh, I spent $4,000 so far this year shopping, or I spent $3,000 so far this year on groceries. Like you can kind of like look at your purchasing behavior as a year-to-date basis and be like, oh my gosh, that's like X% of how much money I made this year. So just kind of like doing that, especially in any categories that you like really want to focus on, or you know you overspend, this is like what this tab can be helpful for. So that is a total breakdown of my monthly budget, how I use this template, and like how I track my spending and reflect on my purchases to make sure that I'm not overspending every single month. I hope this video was helpful to help you guys understand how to budget in your 20s, the 3 different steps that you need to take in order to be successful at budgeting in your 20s. Also a little walkthrough of how to use my template. If you are interested in using this template, it is available for download. I will put the link to download the template in the caption.